Chapter 41, Rift. After Shimizu was captured, we dragged him across the battlefield and presented him in front of Aiko. While on our way, Toru gave him the death glare the whole time. If glare could kill, Shimizu would have died hundreds of times. Ignoring her for now, I looked at Aiko. She had a complicated look on her face. Well, that is to be expected. It was confirmed now the instigator of this incident was Shimizu, one of her students, whom she wished to protect. But looking at my side, the way Toru continuously glared at him, it was only a matter of time before she jumped at him. Sigh. Let's leave it at that. Shimizu, wake up. Shimizu, can you hear me? Shimizu, open your eyes. Aiko, for the past few minutes, continuously called him, trying to wake him. Shimizu finally woke up. Opening his eyes, Shimizu remembered his situation and jolted awake. He warily looked at his surroundings, but before he could make any moves, Aiko grabbed his shoulder and said in her energetic tone, "Calm down, Shimizu. We don't want to hurt you." Shimizu calmed down, but I noticed his eyes were still darting around, probably finding an escape route. I then looked at the others who were the witnesses here. From the looks of things, only Hajime noticed his strange behavior. Just as I thought that, Hajime informed me using telepathy, "Be ready, he might make a move." "Yeah, I have noticed it, don't worry, nothing will happen to Aiko-sensei in my watch." Saying that, Hajime cut the telepathy. As I watched, Aiko started to question Shimizu gently. "Shimizu, I like to talk things out with you. Why did you do this? Could you tell me what you were feeling?" Aiko slowly asked. Shimizu, hearing her question, felt irritated. He wanted to lash out. But he controlled himself and spoke in a calm voice. "Why, you ask? Can't you tell by looking? You really are a bunch of idiots. Isn't it obvious it is because I am the true hero, unlike that fake? I was just showing them how much I am worth. If only you guys didn't interfere, I would have shown them." Shimizu's irritation poured out. Hearing Shimizu's response, Aikawa, one of Aiko's students, felt horrified and angrily said, "Do you even understand what you did? If Rihito and Hajime weren't here, do you have any idea how many people would have died? There are children inside the city, they would have died." Yuka, feeling similar to Aikawa, also spoke up. "Do you have any idea how much I-sensei was worried about you? The whole time you were missing, she continuously searched for you in the whole city. And you were doing what? Planning to destroy the city, using your power for that. Do you think it is the right thing to do?" Yuka wanted to say more, but Aiko stopped her with her hand. "Shimizu, you must have been very frustrated. I am sorry that I didn't notice. But as Aikawa and Yuka said, you shouldn't use your strength like that. You can't prove your worth with such things. If you wanted to spare us, why didn't you choose a way that shouldn't cause casualties?" Shimizu, the more he hears them rambling, the more irritated he gets. "Doing things right, they say. I was doing things my way and I was conquering this city. I was about to become an emperor. You people are the ones in my way. I really want to kill all of you, but I can't. Those two white hair guys are watching me, I can't make sudden moves." Shimizu then looked at Aiko and smiled cruelly. From inside his robe, he pulled out a poisonous needle, which he kept for an emergency. Shimizu then readied himself. He waited until Aiko got closer to him. Before he takes Aiko as hostage, he speaks up. "Who said that I wanted to prove my strength to you?" He grabbed Aiko by her neck, then pointed a needle at her neck and threatened everyone. "No one moves, this needle is coated with a viscous poison. If anybody moves, I will stab her. One stab and she will die a long and painful death, thanks to the poison," Shimizu said with a psychotic grin. Hearing those words from Shimizu, I was disappointed. After he said those generic threats like, "Drop your weapons" and all that. Aiko still tried to reason with him, but at this point, anybody could see he was too far gone to reason with anyone. And just to prove what I was thinking, he said himself, he made a pact with demons to kill Aiko. Shaken by his threat, everybody dropped their weapon, except us, that is. Shimizu then looked at us with a scowl. "You." I pointed at myself. "Me. Not you, him, the one beside you with the robotic arms, eye patch and gun." I then looked at Hajime, pointing his gun at Shimizu. "You Chunibyo fucker. Give me your gun or she gets it," Shimizu said. Hearing Shimizu's words, I tried to hold my laughter and looked at Hajime. He looked dumbfounded. Seeing him confused like that, it became harder for me to hold my laughter. I was practically shaking. PFF'd. Unable to hold it anymore, I busted out in a laughing fit. "Ha ha ha ha, that was hilarious." Wiping my tears, I muttered, "It has been a while since I laughed that hard." All the while Hajime, with hands on his forehead, was shaking and muttering, "I am not a Chunibyo," repeatedly. Shimizu, seeing our antics, was angry because we didn't take him seriously. So, he screamed at us, "You bastards, stop screwing around. No more games or I will kill her, for real." Hearing those words, I looked at him with contempt and said, "Are you stupid or something?" Shimizu's eyes became bloodshot when hearing my words. "You do understand the only thing keeping you safe from us is Aiko, and the moment you harm her, there is nothing stopping us from capturing you or worse." My gaze became sharper and my eyes started to glow. "Kill you." Shimizu, feeling my gaze's intensity, gritted his teeth and said, "Shut up. Spare me your logic and do as I say. Give me those guns now, or I will kill her." Sighing, this time, I looked at Aiko-sensei. "Sensei, you understand, right? He is not the same Shimizu you knew anymore. You know that, don't you?" Aiko, with a hurt tone, spoke up, "Rihito, I still want to save him and go back together with everyone." Aiko said in a plea. "I am sorry, sensei, but I can't allow that. The way he is now, do you really think he will go back like he used to?" I shook my head and pulled out the mask and wore it. You, Aiko, and her students see me wearing the mask, and their eyes widen. While Tio looked confused and Toru was too angry to care about the mask. As for Hajime, he readied himself to pull the trigger. Shimizu, getting tired of stalling time, said an ultimatum, "I will give you 10 seconds. If you don't give me those guns, I will stab her." He then started the count, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Saying that, the moment he tried to stab her, Shimizu felt weird. He felt lighter on the right side, but the strange thing was that he was unable to move his right hand. Thud. Hearing something falling, Shimizu looked at his right shoulder. There he saw, from his shoulder to his armpits, nothing was there, except blood pouring out. Shimizu, feeling the horror and pain, released Aiko and curled into the ground and screamed, "My arm! My arm! My arm! It hurts! It hurts! It hurts!" Aiko, from the sudden push from Shimizu, stumbled and was confused as to what happened. She stood up and looked back to Shimizu bleeding out in the ground. Aiko, feeling horrified, went towards Shimizu and tried to stop the blood, but failing at it. She then started to beg us, "Please, Rihito, Hajime, save him." Suddenly, I sensed danger from behind Aiko. I used my less than superhuman speed, greater than, to move and protect her. I swung my sword and cut down a magic attack, then looked in the direction it came from. There, I saw a long-eared man standing with a flying mount. I then went after him, leaving my last word to Hajime through telepathy, "If you are going to kill him, let Toru do it." "Demon, damn it, he blocked it," the demon said in frustration. He was ordered by Lord Freed to assassinate the human called the Goddess of Fertility. But it failed. Tisk, I should get out of here, saying as he went toward the mutated flying eagle. When he looked back, he was shocked. There, the human that blocked his attack was standing. On his side, his mount mutated eagle was lying dead without its head. Seeing all this, the demon broke out in a cold sweat. What should he do? The demon thought to itself. Then he heard a cold voice from the human, who was now suddenly standing in front of him. "I have a few questions if you don't mind answering." On the other side, Shimizu was still bleeding out. Aiko's students, seeing him in this condition, tried to stop the bleeding. While Aiko begged Hajime to help him. "Please, Hajime, help him." Hajime was willing to listen to her request, but before that, he asked Aiko, "Tell me, sensei, if he dies here, will you hate Rihito?" Aiko, hearing the sudden question, was stumped. Aiko then took a deep breath and spoke resolutely, "I will still consider him as my student." "I see," saying that, he walked up to Shimizu and asked him a question, which would decide his fate. "Shimizu, tell me, are you our enemy?" Hajime asked, narrowing his eyes. Shimizu, smirking with his last breath, said, "I am not an enemy. There must be something wrong with me. I must be controlled by those damn demons. I won't do this again. If you save me, I will do anything. I will make an army of monsters for you. I will brainwash any woman for you. I will swear loyalty to you, so please save me." Hearing those words, everyone was silent and horrified. It was as Rihito said, even if they go back to their world, the current Shimizu is too far gone to be saved. Hajime looks at Aiko, who has a hopeful look. He then put his guns in his holster and said to Toru, "Toru, it's your turn." Hajime said the rest of the message through telepathy, "Do not cremate the body. Finish it in one blow." It was Rihito's order. Toru then walked up to Shimizu and looked at him with murderous eyes. Aiko felt something wrong. She was about to say something, but before she could, Toru instantly turned her hands to Dragon Claw, and the gauntlet she was wearing also resized itself according to her claw size. She then attacked his chest, ripped his heart out and burned it instantly. Aiko, witnessing all this, screamed out in sadness, "No!" Chapter end. Author note: I am busy with my job, so the next chapter will take time. Thank you. If you like my story, please comment, give me Power Stone, and rate my FF. It will motivate me plenty to write more. Thank you. 9 comments, 0 vote. Chapter 42, Return. Rihito. After extracting all the information the demon had, I dealt with it. I then walked back to where everyone was. I wondered what Hajime had decided. In canon event, Hajime was the one to finish Shimizu. But here I intervened and prevented him from doing it. Sighing, I then sped up and appeared where Shimizu was lying, dead. With one glimpse of Shimizu, I understood what transpired here. Aiko looked devastated, Aikawa and others looked sad, Shay and Tio looked lightly concerned, and Toru was back to normal. Toru, upon noticing me, called, "Master," saying that she happily stood beside me. Suddenly Aiko, who was grieving, spoke up, Why did you kill him?" she asked, looking at Toru with grief. Toru, confused, asked, "Are you asking me?" Aiko spoke louder, "Why?" Toru gave Aiko a neutral look and said, "He controlled me when I was severely wounded." As dragons do not interact with other species. Even if by chance it happens, we avoid or in most cases kill them. But in rare cases, if the individual is special enough, we make exceptions, like Master Rihito. Toru looked at me with a happy smile. As for why did I kill him? He already failed the condition, and on top of that, he forcefully controlled a dragon like me. It already warrants his death. You are lucky that you are related to my master. If you were not, I would have killed you and the 4 beside you. Toru released her bloodlust at them. Rihito, seeing things getting out of hand. He put his hand on her shoulder, which calmed her. Sighing, I then looked at Aiko-sensei and spoke, "Sensei." Aiko looked up at me. Confirming her gaze, I spoke, "It was me who killed Shimizu. I gave her the order to kill him. The mental state he was in made him too dangerous to be left alone. I know it's hypocritical coming from me. Still, in the future, if someone does something similar to Shimizu, I will do it again. If you want to hate someone, hate me." Saying that, I turned around and started to walk away. Shay, Toru, Hajime and others followed me. While walking away, from behind, I heard the sobbing voice of Aiko. We headed out of the city of Yui, and through Brise, we headed to the Furin, with Will in tow. He was sitting in the back with Tio, who was also coming with us. In the driver's seat, Hajime was seated, in the co-seat you sat there. As for me, I was seated behind them in between Shay and Toru, who were holding my hands up to my shoulders. Sigh, I have to add Toru to the list. Well, nothing is conclusive yet. Is this what they call Stockholm Syndrome? As I wondered when I became a chick magnet. Just then Hajime called out, "Hey, why did you stop my attack?" I responded with a pause, looking outside of the window, because I feel like it. Hajime then pressed a button on the steering, which turned on the autopilot. He turned around and grabbed my collar, and angrily said, "Don't give me that crap, you think I didn't notice? You at first aimed for Shimizu's wrist. It was me who aimed for Shimizu's head. You stopped my attack and in turn, cut his shoulder off." Saying that, he glared at me. To his inquiry, I stayed silent, not confirming or denying his claims. Tisk, seeing me not answering, he clicked his tongue, he let go of my collar and seated back, concentrating on driving. I noticed Toru was angrily glaring at Hajime, so I patted her head, which calmed her down, and she was back to normal. Shay, seeing my interaction, worriedly asked, "You okay?" In her eyes, I saw a slight anxiety. I just patted her and told her, "Don't worry, everything is fine." I then again looked outside of the window and pondered, it seems that I have inherited more of Rihito's personality than I originally thought. Well, at least I don't have his trauma that would have sucked. After half a day of journey, we reached Furin at dawn. Hajime drove Brise and stopped it in front of the entrance gate, which was closed for some reason. Then from the smaller entrance from the side, about a dozen guards came with weapons in hands and pointed at us. Seeing the commotion, we came out of the car. All the guards saw this and looked at us like we were some new kind of monster. After that, it took some time to convince them that we're not monsters and that the black box thing was an artifact from the Age of Gods, which finally convinced them. The guards then asked for identification. To that end, I showed them the quest request paper signed by the guild master himself. Seeing this, some of them confirmed that they were informed about this and told it was an urgent request. "Is the request completed?" one of the guards asked. "Yes," I responded to him. Then a messenger was sent to the Adventurer Guild and we were respectfully welcomed in the city. We were then escorted to the guild. It was the same room as the last. We then sat on the sofa, waiting for the guild master to come. In about a minute, I heard 2 hurried footsteps coming towards this room, probably Ilwa and his assistant glasses guy. What was his name again? I forgot. The door was then loudly opened and Ilwa barged in, and spoke. Will. Are you safe? Will, who was seated on the single-chair sofa, stood up and smiled, looking at Ilwa. Uncle Ilwa, I am fine. But I need to apologize for causing trouble for you. I am sorry for everything. All this happened because I was too stubborn. Ilwa, seeing Will unharmed, was relieved. Though he looked slightly skinny, it was a minor problem. With proper food he would go back to normal. It's fine, what matters is that you are back and in one piece. Now you should go see your parents. Okay, saying that, Will looked in our direction and thanked us. Thank you for saving me, Rihito, Hajime, Shay, you, Toru and Tio. In future, I will be sure to repay this favor. Will left the room. It looks like this adventure had done him some good after all. Saying, Ilwa took his seat in front of us, and glasses stood behind him. Hajime then spoke up. That should be it for the job, right? To confirm it, Ilwa said, yes, and I thank you all. To be honest, I almost gave up on him at one point. I am truly grateful for bringing him alive. You do not need to thank us, he survived because of his luck, I said from the side. I see, Ilwa responded. Right then a staff member knocked on our door. With Ilwa's permission the staff entered and poured us tea and left. Ilwa then spoke with the demeanor of a guild master. I have to say, what you had accomplished in ULL, as shocking as admirable, oh the goddess shield and sword. Ilwa said those words with a smile, observing our reaction, though his eyes stayed on Rihito a bit longer because of his change of hair. Hajime, about to drink the tea, almost choked, and Rihito, who was about to pick up the tea, stopped. He had an expression like someone who was holding his laughter. Ilwa, seeing both of their reaction, already had an idea as to whose plan it was, and he also got a rough estimation of both of their personality. With this, Ilwa has no qualms about holding his end of the bargain. Sighing, that piece of news travels fast, I see. Hajime said, wiping tea from his lips. Yes, it's all thanks to the long-range communication artifacts each guild keeps. I am mostly aware of what happened thanks to my men. But please, I love to hear the details from all of you. Sure, as long as you two keep all the details to yourself, I said with a smile. Ilwa, noticing the hidden meaning, said with a serious look, if you want, I could prepare a document with clauses written on it. I responded with a hand gesture, no need. As long as you keep your word, we are good. Ilwa with a slight sweat nodded, yes. Alright, if you will. Just as Ilwa said, presented 4 status plates. I have noticed you have 2 extra members in your party, so I added 2 more plates as a service. Status. Name, Shay Halia. Age, 16. Gender, female. Level, 50. Class, Diviner. Strength, 6,960. Vitality, 6,900. Resistance, 6,960. Agility, 6,910. Magic, 3,520. Magic resistance, 3,480. Skills. Hidden. Magic. Hidden. Resistances. Hidden. End. Status. Name, Toru. Age, 799. Gender, female. Level. Class, Draconic Brawler. Strength, 70,899. Vitality, 71,099. Resistance, 70,099. Agility, 68,999. Magic, 68,009. Magic resistance, 68,909. Skills. Hidden. Magic. Hidden. Resistances. Hidden. End. Status. Name, you. Age, 323. Gender, female. Level, 75. Class, Miko. Strength, 500. Vitality, 710. Resistance, 450. Agility, 300. Magic, 7,980. Magic resistance, 8,250. Skills. Hidden. Magic. Hidden. Resistances. Hidden. End. Status. Name, Tio Claris. Age, 563. Gender, female. Level, 89. Class, Guardian. Strength, 5,390. Vitality, 7,700. Resistance, 7,700. Agility, 4,060. Magic, 4,580. Magic resistance, 4,220. Skills. Hidden. Magic. Hidden. Resistances. Hidden. End. Chapter end. Author note. Lucky for you guys, yesterday night I was motivated for some reason and wrote down this chapter. Enjoy. What do you guys think about Toru's status and class? Do you think it's appropriate for her? If it's not, give me an estimation and suggest a name for her class. Thank you. If you like my story, please comment, give me Power Stone, and rate my FF. It will motivate me plenty to write more. Thank you. 5 comments, 0 vote. Download the app for greater interaction. You can chat with me about my writing experience apart from the comments section. RoneGreninja. Download app now. Chapter 43, Eat the Meat. As I observed Shay, Toru, Yu and Tio's stats, it was monstrous even when I compared them with the hero's party, although I expected this. But what caught me off guard was Toru's status. Each of her stats is more than doubled what I had. Now that I think back about the fight I had with Toru, I made the right call to just avoid her attacks. I do not want to imagine what would have happened if I didn't. After everyone gained their status plate, they fiddled with it, especially Toru, who had never seen something like this. This is my status. Toru questioningly muttered to herself. Ilwa, after observing these statuses, had sweat pouring down his back, and even his assistant felt speechless seeing the numbers. Sigh, this is really surprising. When I wished to see the status, I didn't expect such outrageous numbers, and that is not even the most astonishing part. Ilwa then leaned back on his sofa pondering. Hajime asked, what now? Will you inform the church about this? Haha, Ilwa laughed dryly, I hope you are kidding. Whether as an individual or as a guild leader, that's not an option for me. And on top of that, I owe you people. It will be a foolish decision on my part if I turn an enemy out of someone whom I could befriend. That's good to hear, Hajime responded. After that, Ilwa inquired us about the incident for an hour. He was shocked when he heard that one of the heroes summoned by the church had turned to the demon side. If common people heard about this, the church would face major backlash. Alright then, as for your second reward, saying that he prepared 2 letters. The first one was a document that would let us access the guild's information, both mundane and secretive, and the second one was a promotion letter for us. This letter will rank up you directly. With this you can move around more freely, I reckon, saying that he handed us 2 letters. You know it's usually a lot of paperwork to rank up someone to silver or higher, but you don't have to worry about that. I will handle that part, and with your title of Goddess Sword and Shield, it will be a lot easier. Rihito, well, thanks to my friend's fast thinking we had such an easy time. Hearing that comment from me, Hajime's eyes started to twitch. Ilwa with a smile said, I suppose it is. Now if you do not mind me asking, what are you planning to do now? I am sure you already know this. We are after the 7 labyrinths and our next target is the maze in the Crimson Desert, I responded. That's good then. I have recommended you 2 for promotion to the gold rank. With my recommendation and Lady Catherine's letter, they shouldn't turn you down, and for your promotion, you have to go to the dungeon city, Horod. Hearing that city name, my jovial mood shifted to seriousness. Ilwa, sensing the shift in the mood, says, by your expression, I am guessing you have been there. Yeah, I have, when I was still a failure. Hajime said in a somber mood. Yu, sensing Hajime's shifting mood, held his hand. I patted Hajime's shoulder and said, no, you weren't. Hajime looked at me with a slight smile and said, thanks. Ilwa, who observed all this, already got a rough outline of the unspoken story. I see, I won't ask anything unnecessary. Then, this should conclude the meeting. You all should rest up. Your promotion date will be in 2 days. For now, you should enjoy the city. As a token of our thanks, we will prepare rooms for you. After that, we were escorted by Todd to the most luxurious-looking building in the city of Furin. It was a 30-floor tall building. There, a whole floor was reserved just for us. Quite the luxurious treatment, I said while lying on the hotel's living room sofa, which was on the 25th floor. While I was lazing around, Shay looked down from the window in awe, muttering to herself, from here the people down there look so tiny. As for Toru, after she saw the luxurious kitchen of this suite, she got pumped up and said, Master, I will cook from you something special. She said that and bolted away to the kitchen, which was about half an hour ago. I wonder if we break something here, do we have to pay for it or Ilwa will handle it? Thinking about it, I had the urge to try it out. while I was immersed in my intrusive thoughts. Shay crawled beside me and lay down, staring at my white hair thinking something. Aware of her movements, I watched her shifting expressions, from happiness to curiousness to slight hesitation and finally determination. The whole process was amusing to watch. Shay came to a decision and grabbed a few strands of my hair, observing them. As she was doing that, her breasts kept grinding on my chest, which I don't have a single problem with. After about a few minutes of snooping around in my hair, she finally stopped and noticed my gaze on her. Shay noticed me staring at her, felt shy, her cheeks redone, and she hid her face in my chest. Amused, I asked, "What were you doing with my hair?" I was checking if your hair had fully turned white from the root or if it was only the shaft," she said with reddened cheeks. I see. After that, no one spoke, and both of us fell into comfortable silence, both just content with each other's presence. Shay, breaking the silence, spoke again, "Hey Rihito. After you and Hajime have gained all the Age of God magic, will you leave me?" Shay said those words with unease. Taken aback by those words, I grabbed her hand and climbed on top of her, asking, "And why do you think that?" I asked, looking at her eyes. Shay feels shy facing Rihito's intense gaze, looks to the side and mutters, "It's because you don't cuddle with me like Hajime and you does all the time." She started slowly and ended with a yell. Sigh, so she was jealous seeing Hajime and you flirting all the time and wanted to do similar things with me. Shay, noticing my sudden silence, looked at me. There she saw Rihito's face closing in on her. Shay, seeing this, her heart sped up in anticipation, and then slowly Rihito's lips met hers. Shay opened her mouth to let in Rihito's tongue, and then both of their tongues collided with each other, trying to dominate each other. Slurp, slurp. Chew. Enjoying the kissing for a minute straight, we stopped to take breaths. Huff, 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 huff. "So, do you still think I will abandon you?" I asked after the passionate kiss. Huff, 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 huff. Yes. But maybe after more kisses, I will believe you, Shay said with a coquettish tone. Rihito, hearing her tone, smiled. "Is that so? It looks like I have to work extra hard to remedy it." But then a sudden coughing sound was heard from the entrance. Cough. Shay and I both looked at the entrance where Tio was standing there with an awkward expression. Tio, noticing our gaze, said, "Master Hajime asked for you to come and meet with Will's parents, who have come to visit us, saying that she left in a hurry." Rihito, experiencing this strange event, thought, "Did I just get cock-blocked?" Shay, seeing my strange expression, giggled and said in a sultry tone, "After you come back, we can continue." Then, she got up and went towards the kitchen where Toru was still cooking who knows what. I then headed to the Hajime's room, which was a room further away. Walking up to the door, I knocked. Knock, knock. From inside I heard Hajime's voice, "Come in." From inside a maid opened the door and she bowed and cleared the way. There I saw Hajime, you and 3 others sitting on the sofa thanking Hajime. Will, noticing me, called out, "Rihito, let me introduce you to my parents." Will then with hand gestures introduced them. "This man is my father, Grail Kudeta, and the lady beside her is my mother, Saria Kudeta." "Mother, father, this here is Rihito and Hajime, they were the people who with their companions saved me from the dangerous situation I was in." After our introductions were over, we then chatted for a while. Grail and Saria, Will's mother and father, thanked us many times and said if in future any problem occurs with their kingdom, they will be happy to give them a hand. We then talked with them for about an hour. Just as the sun was about to set, the Kudeta family left with the maid. "So, what do you think?" I asked Hajime. "With this, we have someone to support us from the kingdom's side, when we will be enemies with the church." To which I agreed with him. Guess I will head to my room, saying that I left those two alone. As I walked to my room, I looked outside through the glass window and saw the sun setting, casting an orange glow over the city. The scene looked like a work of art. I enjoyed the view as I reached the front of my room and entered. The moment I opened the door, I heard Toru welcoming me. "Welcome back, Master Rihito, I have prepared an extra special dish for you." Saying that, she showed her dish. It was a stack of meat. But for some reason, it looks different from the monster meat I have eaten until now. It somehow gave an aura of superiority. And from the look Shay was giving the meat, I am not the only one who was feeling it. "Toru, what kind of meat is that?" I asked, intrigued. Toru, ignoring the atmosphere, said with a bright smile, "It's my tail meat." For a moment I thought my ears gave away. "So," I asked her again, "what did you say? I think I didn't hear you correctly." "It's my tail's meat that I cooked for you," Toru said with shining eyes, anticipating me to eat her tail. Ignoring the cooking part, I asked in concern, "Toru, you cut your tail?" Toru, sensing my concern, said, "Ah, master, no need to worry. I have regeneration. I can regrow my tail pretty quickly." Saying this, she manifested her horns and newly regrown tail. "See," Toru said while cradling her tail in her arms. Chapter end. If you like my story, give me power stones. If you don't have power stones, then please comment and rate my fanfiction. It will motivate me plenty to write more. Thank you. 6 comments 0 vote. Chapter 44, MYU. Next day morning. Everyone gathered at the restaurant which was on the top floor of this luxurious hotel, where many types of dishes were prepared for breakfast and many of the guests were enjoying the food. There we took a table for 6 and started to enjoy the food. While eating I kept feeling like I was forgetting something very important. But to my distress, I can't remember it all. So, the whole time I was eating I had a frown on my face. Shay sitting beside Rihito seeing his continued frown thought to cheer him up. Thinking of an idea she asked, "Rihito, today we are also free right, then how about we go on a date?" Proposing the date, she saw Rihito's frown was replaced with a shock and realization. Shay saw Rihito's previous frowning look was gone, now he was pondering something. She wondered what he was thinking. But then Shay suddenly felt a chill down her spine, a threatening gaze. As she looked for the origin of the gaze, she noticed Toru seated on the other side of Rihito, smiling, but for some reason the smile didn't reach her eyes. Shay got chills when she met Toru's eyes, not understanding what should she do. She looked at Rihito for help. Unfortunately, Rihito was too engrossed in his thoughts to notice her distress. Shay looked again at Toru and again looked away. She didn't understand what did she do to make her angry. Shay felt like if she didn't do something about it, she would be roasted quite literally. She then instinctively spoke her next word, "Toru, how about you, also join in our date as well?" Hajime and others who were eating and enjoying this event were shocked to hear what Shay said. As for Toru, her sinking mood instantly vanished and her smile became a genuine one. "Really, then I will join as well," Toru said in a happy mood. Shay, finally feeling out of danger, sighed in relief. "I am safe," she thought. However, she felt a little sour about sharing Rihito with other girls. But she already knew she couldn't monopolize Rihito for herself. He already liked that Shizuku girl even before we met. So, it can't be helped, and now, she as well. Shay thought while looking at Toru who was eating her food happily. Rihito, before he knew it, his normal date with Shay suddenly turned into a double date with Shay and Toru. He was very confused about what happened. What the hell happened? While I was pondering for a bit. Not understanding what happened, I looked at Hajime for answers. But, instead of answering, he completely avoided my stare. Bastard. I cursed him in my heart. After finishing our breakfast, both Shay and Toru looked at me with anticipation. Clearly, very excited about the date. Well, I am kinda excited as well. This is my first date after all, and on top of that with 2 beautiful girls. Who would have thought I would get the chance to date 2 girls at the same time? On a side note, seeing us going on a date, Hajime also made plans to go on a date with you and an extra tag along. Seeing him go, I could only hope he found that girl, or I had to hunt down the underground gangs on my own. Sigh. Inwardly sighing, we were currently going through a plethora of food stalls Toru and Shay wanted to try, which I was happy to join in. We then one after one ate many things, both familiar and unfamiliar. I have to really give my props to the skill less than iron stomach greater than, because of it I can eat as much as I want. After eating a variety of food in this city, we headed towards the places this city is famous for. From the locals, we found there are casinos, an entertainment district, a fighting arena, theaters, and they also an aquarium. Shay and Toru's interest was piqued when they heard about the aquarium, Shay because she had never seen an aquarium before, and Toru because she thought she could get more fish there, so I had to shut down that thought immediately. We then headed towards the aquarium. Shay eagerly walked ahead to see the aquarium. On our way there, many unsavory guys tried to pick up Shay and Toru. It was kinda amusing to see. Some fragile-looking guy tried to pick up a girl who could literally slap them to death. So, before something like that really happened, I used a minuscule amount of less than bloodlust greater than to scare them away. Which in turn kinda saved their life. I mean, if mistakenly someone other than me touched Toru, she would probably burn the person to death. She only acted cordially with the people whom I am acquainted with. Other people might as well be bugs to her. As for Shay, she might be a caring girl, but if you push her buttons, she might break a bone or two. While I was saving some moron's life, Toru noticed that some people were following them, so she called out to Rihito, "Master, I am sensing someone watching us." Should I take care of them? She asked as she conjured fire in her hands. No. I hurriedly used illusion magic to camouflage her arm and fire, so as not to alert the passers-by. I then used less than mana sense greater than to check whether those guys had noticed anything or not. Confirming they hadn't, I replied to her, I know, don't worry about it, I have noticed them for a while now, Toru, after confirming Rihito knew about this situation. She went back to look around. Sigh. I was on the verge of seeing my entire plan to find MYU and take down this organization fall apart. If the slave traders discovered that we were a powerful adventurer party, they might stop trying to capture us. This would make it harder for me to locate MYU. My plan was straightforward. I intended to let them attack us, much like in the canon. I believed that sooner or later they would make a move, and that would be the spark for me to dismantle their entire organization. After walking for a bit, we reached the aquarium. Shay saw it and exclaimed, Rihito, that's the aquarium right, let's go. Shay excitedly jumped as we joined the line, waiting for our turn. While we were standing there, Toru was eyeing the wooden carvings of the fish that were attached to the top of the entrance and drooling. Toru. I called out to her with a stern voice. Toru, hearing my stern voice, straightened up. Yes. You are not to touch any fish here no matter how delicious they look to you, understand? Yes. She saluted. Seeing Toru salute, I wondered where did she learn that. After waiting there for a few minutes, our turn finally came. But before I could buy the tickets, an explosion occurred from the top of the aquarium. Boom. From there, a cross-shaped thing with glowing red circuits flew out carrying a human-faced fish with it. Shay saw the cross-shaped thing and whispered to my ears, Rihito, is that? Yeah, that's, cross bits, one of Hajime's weapons. I said in a low voice only Shay and Toru could hear. Toru, seeing the fish fly away, asked, Master, can I eat that fish? It is outside of the aquarium now. No. Toru, if you want to eat fish, just ask, I will buy you. Toru, hearing that, exclaimed, Really, you are the best master, she said happily. Just as the human fish was taken away by the crossbit, all the pedestrians inside hurriedly came out screaming, Someone help us, there's a monster. The guards outside rushed to the scene upon hearing the commotion. From the ticket counter, the employee announced, I'm sorry, but due to an unexpected event, the aquarium will be closed. Upon hearing this, Shay's excitement vanished, and her ears plopped down in disappointment and sadness. To get a better picture, I checked with my less than mana sense greater than and found Hajime, you and Tio escaped from a different path on the other side. So, it's not likely they are coming here again after causing this mess. Seeing Shay's disappointed look, I bought 3 ice creams from a nearby stall and handed one to her. Shay, no need to be sad. You know, after we are done with Crimson Desert, we will be heading to the Ondika, which is a floating island in the middle of the sea. I am pretty sure there will be an aquarium. Really? She asked with upturned eyes. Yeah. I affirmed. After getting my confirmation, Shay's dejected mood was gone. Then that time for sure, I will see the aquarium with my eyes, she says with strange determination. While I handed the other ice cream to Toru. Yummy, Toru exclaimed, tasting the ice cream. Let's go and check out the theaters. Hearing my suggestion, both of them exclaimed, yeah. As we were walking to the theaters, the bustling area started to thin out of people, which I noticed but didn't voice. We walked further. It looks like they are about to make their move. As we reached a corner, Shay suddenly stopped and looked below at the ground. Right at that time, Rihito also sensed movement from those people who were stalking. He then promptly gave out the order, take them out cleanly. Just as I gave the order, several smoke explosions occurred in our surroundings, hindering our sight. I muttered to myself, so much preparation just to kidnap someone. It's too bad for them that they have to choose us from among so many people present in this city. I observed them through my magic sense and counted about 10 people here, with one probably hiding and observing. The other 9 divided themselves into 3 groups to capture us. From my right, one of the 3 threw a knife at my shoulder. Sensing the knife coming at me, I caught it in midair and used my less than fire manipulation greater than to heat the blade, and readied myself of the guy in my left, sensing the second guy coming from my left. I twisted my body clockwise and drove the hot knife at the guy's neck, stopping the kick aimed at my shoulder. Right that instant, like it was planned, the last of 3 appeared behind me and tried to slice at my shoulder with a bastard sword. If it was anyone other than Shay, Toru, Hajime and others, I am pretty sure they would be severely wounded or most likely dead. Even Shizuku, most skilled in swordsmanship after me, wouldn't be able to survive this ambush. Smiling, I disappeared in front of my assailant and appeared behind him. I then grabbed his neck and snapped it. The assailant didn't even get the chance to process how he died. Toru, sensing someone touching her from her back, immediately turned around and punched. The impact of the punch tore through her assailant's chest, instantly killing him. The other two saw this and froze up, facing Toru's angry gaze. Toru, using less than shapeshifting greater than, turned her hands that of a dragon. She then conjured her flames in her hands and charged at the remaining two assailants. Shay, seeing this sudden attack, didn't hold back at all. She had something important to report to Rihito. So, she didn't wait for her assailant to make their move. The moment she sensed something coming at her, she charged forward and swung her Drucken, an impact. If her assailant didn't die in one shot, she would likely be in a coma. As the smoke settled, everything started to be visible again. There I saw Shay and Toru standing unharmed, but as for their assailant, not so much. Toru's victims had human-sized claw marks and burns on them, one of them even had a big hole in their chest. As for Shay, her victim looks fine on the surface, but their body is bent at weird angles, which is impossible to do even for a yoga master. Shaking my head, I was about to focus on the last surviving guy. As for the other guy in hiding, let's say some angry adventurer pinned him to the wall with their sword. Rihito, Shay urgently called out. I looked at her, raising my eyes. She continued saying, beneath us, I sense someone's presence, it's very weak. If we don't move now, it will be too late. Hearing the familiar lines from the anime, I cursed, shit, of all things it has to follow the plot, and this sudden attack. Are things mixing up now? I looked at Toru and said in a serious tone, Toru, keep him alive, I have some questions for him. She nodded at me. I looked at Shay, let's go. Shay and I dashed to the direction where she felt the presence was heading. Scanning the sewers, I found a few monsters around. At this stage, I could only hope the kid was alive. Right then I sensed a weak presence below us. Stop! I exclaimed. I then used my less than earth manipulation greater than to create a passage that connects to the sewers below. It only took about a second, and we then jumped inside. The moment we entered the hole in the middle of the road, it vanished as if it was never there. The locals who witnessed this looked shocked and bewildered. Inside the sewers, it didn't take too long to find the girl. There, Shay exclaimed, seeing the sky blue-haired girl floating in the dirty water. I then used less than water manipulation greater than to stop the drifting water and took the girl in my arms. The moment I took her in my arms, she opened her eyes and muttered, "Pap," and fainted. Is she all right? Shay asked. She is fine, I have used my healing magic on her, she is just exhausted. I see, she said, seeing me gently caring for the little girl. Let's go find the exit. Chapter end. Author note. I wanted to let you know that I've made some edits to the first 16 chapters. I didn't make any major changes, just added a few extra lines. However, when I made these edits, all the paragraph comments that were previously there were deleted. So I like to ask, if it's not too much trouble, could you please like the character images that I posted? Of course, if you don't want to do so, that's completely fine. If you like my story, give me power stones. If you don't have power stones, then please comment and rate my fanfiction. It will motivate me plenty to write more. Thank you. 11 comments, 0 vote. Chapter 45. MYU2. While Rihito saves MYU. On the other side of the city in the entertainment district lies an underground organization called Kreethof. Inside their organization base, a muscular-looking fat man was waiting in his lavish office for the good news of the capture of some blue-rank adventurers. What's taking them so long? This shouldn't take this much time. Irritated, the boss of Kreethof, who was waiting for a while, said to himself. If they are taking so much time, they better capture that rabbit girl and that maid, or they will pay dearly. Just as the boss grumbled to himself, a man wearing mage clothing barged inside. Boss. This is urgent, we have a problem in our hands. The boss heard a sudden shout from his subordinate and questioned with irritation. What happened? Did you find them? Where are the goods? Are they damaged? If they are, I will peel those bastard skin off. Boss rapidly asks questions to the mage. Hearing the threatening tone from his boss, Mage flusteredly said, Boss, they are dead, everyone who went to capture them died. Crack. In anger, the boss broke the armrest of his chair and roared out, the fuck do you mean they lost? You are telling me, they lost to a mere blue-rank adventurer? Don't joke with me. Just when he was about to go on another tangent, another one of his subordinates rushed in panic, Boss, we are in big trouble. Hearing the panicking tone of his other subordinate, the boss thought today really was an unlucky day for him. What is it? He asked, calming himself a little. The dirty blonde-haired man, seeing the boss's extremely bad mood, trembled, as he said, "Boss, the Dagon girl has gone missing." "What?" the boss exclaimed as he stood up from his chair. "Are you kidding me? How did you lose that brat? Wasn't she supposed to be sold today? What the fuck happened?" The boss looked at the blonde man with bloodshot eyes. The blonde man, fearing for his life, spills out everything he knows. Bang. Slamming his fist at his table, boss thought, if that brat doesn't reach to the underground auction by evening, all the money I have spent to get the girl will be for nothing. On top of that, my reputation will be ruined. The boss then looked at the blonde man and gave an ultimatum: find that Dagon brat by noon or you and your family will die, understood? Why, yes, the blonde man tremblingly said. The boss then looked at the mage: you help him find the brat through your observe magic. Now disappear from my sight before I kill you myself. Both subordinates trembled and ran out of the office to find the Dagon girl. Rihito and Shay, after saving Myu from the sewers, search for an isolated place to get out of there. Finding an appropriate place in the back alley, Rihito used less than earth manipulation greater than to create a square-shaped hole in that empty alley, from which both of them got out of the sewers. After saving the girl, Rihito wanted to go check up on Toru and the captive, thinking that Rihito spoke, "Shay, take her in your arms," saying that Rihito tried to pass the little girl to Shay. Shay was happy to hold her in her arms. However, Myu was sound asleep, clutching Rihito's coat tightly and not letting go. Seeing this, Rihito felt troubled and used his other hand to gently pry open her small, webbed hands. He did it slowly so the little girl wouldn't wake up, just as he was about to be free from her grip. The little girl tightened her grip, and Rihito looked up to see her staring at him with her sky-blue eyes. Now that I look closely at her, I can see that she is from the Dagon tribe. People from this tribe can breathe underwater and have webbed hands and feet, as well as fan-like ears. Combined with her emerald blue hair and sky-blue eyes, for those slave traders, she is a one-of-a-kind product. No wonder in the anime those slave traders were hell-bent on selling her. While I was observing her unique characteristics as a Dagon, Myu did the same to me. She kept staring at me. In her eyes, there was a mix of recognition and confusion. I understood the confusion, as finding yourself in an unfamiliar condition can be disorienting. However, I was puzzled by the recognition aspect. Guess I will find out later. Smiling at the girl, I asked gently, "What's your name?" The girl, still staring, responded, "Myu." Smiling at her response, I introduced myself. "Hello Myu, my name is Rihito, and the girl beside me is Shay. It's nice to meet you." Shay, after being introduced, says, "Hello Myu, as you heard, I am Shay. I am happy to meet you." She smiles at Myu. Myu silently stared at Shay, then again looked at me, still not letting go of my coat. Rihito was troubled, unable to extract himself from Myu. He decided to ask her directly. "Myu, can you let go of my coat?" I said with a gentle voice, trying not to scare the little girl. Rihito observed that Myu, hearing his request, tightened her grip even more, not wanting to let go of him for some reason. Tears started to pool in the corner of her eyes and Myu screamed out, "No!" and hugged his neck tightly, not willing to let go. Seeing this sudden reaction from Myu, I was troubled. If she keeps hugging me like this, I won't be able to do the investigation. Shay, seeing the little girl react like that, was also puzzled as to why this little girl became so attached to Rihito. Shay, trying to help Rihito, took out a few sweets from her spatial ring, which was given to her by Rihito previously. "How about you come here, I have treats for you." Shay, using treats, tried to get her off Rihito. Myu, in response to Shay, sobbingly said, "No. I don't want to let go of Papa." Upon hearing those words, I was stunned and thought to myself, wait. What the hell? When did I become a father? Even Hajime, who saved her in anime, was at first called brother, not Papa. Why are things escalating so fast? Not even an hour has passed since I saved her. Although I had considered that things might end this way, I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. Confused, I looked dumbly at Shay. Shay, hearing the little girl's response, was frozen. "Papa," Shay muttered, looking at me with a strange gaze. Noticing her gaze, I raised my one free hand and said, "Don't look at me with those eyes." I don't have a clue why she called me like that. Sigh. Sighing at the situation I was in, I decided to rent a room in the nearest inn and talk there. This back alley isn't a proper place to talk with a child. While booking a room in the inn, I contacted Toru through telepathy and asked her to come to our location with the captive. I also asked if she had magic to hide herself and the captive, and she eagerly responded that she did and would be right there. Inside a room, I then called out to MYU, "MYU, will you listen to me?" I asked her. MYU, wrapping her hands around my neck, loosened the grip and looked at me. She nodded. Seeing she was willing to listen, I said, "Sit down here." I patted the bed beside me. MYU obediently sat beside me, although she was still clenching my coat in her hands. Right then from Mayu's stomach growling noise was heard. Seeing this, I pulled out a few meat skewers. MYU noticed the food and locked onto it. After I handed her the food, MYU let go of my coat for the first time, grabbed the skewers and started eating them. The way she was eating it looked like she was quite hungry. I then waited for her to finish eating before I asked her any questions. After MYU finished eating, I pulled out a water bottle from my less than item box greater than and helped her drink. After eating the skewers, MYU looked relieved and less tense. Seeing this as an appropriate time, I started to ask about her background. How did she end up here? What was she doing in the sewers? To all of these questions, she obediently answered as much as she knew. In short, MYU, while swimming with her mother, got lost. At that moment, a group of humans found her in an isolated place and captured her. She was brought to Furin with many other demi-humans, but gradually, other kids started to disappear. MYU heard that they were being sold for a large amount of money, and today it was her turn. However, she somehow managed to escape from her captors and jumped into the sewers. Shay, seeing Mayu's sad face, couldn't hold back and hugged MYU to her chest, starting to stroke her head. MYU. It was scary, right? It's okay now. No need to worry, we will protect you. MYU, who was slightly stunned by the sudden hug, feeling comfort from Shay's soothing words, hugged her back and burst into tears. Wah wah, sob, sob sob. While Shay was comforting MYU, I sensed Toru flaring a little bit of her magic. I then looked at Shay and used telepathy to inform her I was going out to fetch some clothes for MYU and bring Toru back. Shay, hearing that, nodded. Outside, I walked up to an alley and said, "You can stop hiding now." Just as I said, the two silhouettes appeared before me. One of them said with an energetic voice, "Master, I am here, and as you said, he is in one piece." Toru said, pointing at the captive slumped on the ground. I looked at the captured man who was unconscious and lying on the ground. Although he was slightly burned, he was alive. I then looked back at Toru, who looked sheepish. Toru, seeing my raised eyes, in a panic tried to explain, "Master Rihido, it's not like what you think. I didn't beat him up because I got bored of waiting." Toru, realizing what she had mistakenly said, covered her own mouth and fell silent. Rihido, hearing her explanation, didn't know whether to laugh or scold her. Shaking his head, he thought, "Let's just forget about it." He then focused his attention on the captive. I approached the captive and created a water ball the size of a football. I then used the water ball to encase the unconscious man's head. After Rihido did that, the man woke up in seconds, unable to breathe. He tried to remove the water ball but kept failing. No matter what he did, the water was not moving. While he thrashed around the alley, I put up a sound barrier and with the help of illusion magic put up an illusion of an empty alley. This way no one would disturb us. For now, I will refer to him as captive, get it? Captive. Just when he thought he was about to die choking on water, the water suddenly fell on its own. Finally able to breathe, he coughed out all the water that got stuck in his throat. Cough, cough, cough. Finally able to breathe, he shed tears. Just when he thought he was safe, he heard a slightly distorted voice coming from his back. It felt really good, right? Hearing those strange words, Captive looked at his back, where a man and a familiar woman were standing. Captive, seeing the woman with blonde hair, his face became pale. He started to crawl backwards, clenching his arms and legs. Rihido, seeing him react like that on only a glance of Toru. He wondered what did Toru do to him when he left him to her. So, I decided to ask her directly. Turning around, I asked, "What did you do to him?" Toru, who was still covering her mouth, averted her eyes from mine. Then she in a low voice said, "Well, you see, when you left him with me, he kinda wanted to run away. So, to prevent him from running away, I kinda cut off his arms and legs. Of course, I made sure he won't die, but I did nothing about the pain." Damn, that was brutal. No wonder this guy is traumatized, I thought while looking at the guy who was trying to crawl away. Even now when his arms and legs are reattached, he is still traumatized to the point he is unable to use them. Toru, pulling my coat, asks in a remorseful tone, "Master, are you mad?" Snapping out of my thoughts, no, not really." Toru, confirming that I was not mad, immediately went back to her cheerful tone, "Really? Then should I end him? She said while conjuring flames in her hand. I looked at her with a deadpan look and from behind, I heard a shriek from that guy. Chapter end. If you like my story, give me power stones. If you don't have power stones, then please comment and rate my fanfiction. It will motivate me plenty to write more. Thank you. 3 comments 0 vote. Chapter 46, Simmering Rage. After obtaining all the information the captive had about the Friedhof organization, which for some reason was attempting to kidnap Shay and Toru, it became apparent that they were also the same group who kidnapped Myu. After I was done, I let Toru handle the rest, she was for some reason itching to do it. So, I left him with her. After a fiery breath later, Toru and I are walking towards a clothing store. Hey master, where are we going? Toru asked, curious as to where we were headed. A clothing store, we are in need of clothes, I responded while looking around for a store. But don't we have a lot of clothes? Toru asks, remembering what Rihito told her about storing many clothes. Not for us, it's for the kid we saved, her name is Myu, saying that I found a wooden board with the symbol of clothes. Found it? I exclaimed. Both of us entered the clothing store and started looking through the children's clothing section. There I found a cute white one-piece dress for Myu and then needed to buy some undergarments for a 3 to 4-year-old. Thankfully, having Toru with me prevented people from seeing me as suspicious. With that, we headed back to the inn. On the way, Toru pestered me to let her carry the clothing bag, and when I said it was not a problem for me to hold it, she then with a serious look said it was a maid's duty, or something. Just as we were walking up to the building. From the first floor of the inn, someone flew out, breaking the wall and crashing right before me and Toru. Boom. Thud. Seeing this sudden commotion, all the passerby ran away to save their life. Give me a break. I grumbled mentally as I saw a dirty blonde-haired man standing up with his broken shoulder. Damn, that bitch, he cursed as he glared at the broken wall he falls from. There Shay stood, holding a crying Myu in her right hand and a drucken in her left. Rihito's eyes twitched as he observed the scene. I was initially hesitant to pursue the Friedhof organization because it would have been a hassle to search all over the city. If they hadn't attacked us, I would have completely ignored them. However, they are making it difficult for me to overlook them. I guess it's time to dismantle an underground organization. The man with dirty blonde hair felt relieved when he found out the location of the Dagon girl. But when he found out she was not alone, there were some adventurers protecting her. Hearing that news, he became worried. At first, he was concerned that they were some strong adventurers, but his concerns immediately subsided when the mage informed him this rabbit girl was a blue-rank adventurer and also one of the targets the boss wanted to capture. The boss was after this rabbit girl and a maid accompanying her. But because the Dagon brat had gone missing, the boss had to focus on finding the brat. The dirty blonde man thought if he captured all 3 of them and offered them to the boss, he would surely forgive him and reward him. Thinking that, he gathers his 8 subordinates to capture all 3 of them. Just as he planned, he attacked the inn where 2 of the girls resided. But unfortunately, he had severely miscalculated the capability of the rabbit girl. That girl, while protecting the Dagon girl, easily killed all of his subordinates with her hammer. The dirty blonde, unable to fight head-on, had to use one of his subordinates as a cover to sneak attack her. Still, she somehow saw that coming and blew him away through the wall. The dirty blonde, now injured, wanted to retreat and informed his boss that there was no way this rabbit demi-human was a blue rank. Their information was wrong. Currently, in front of me, the dirty blonde, unable to beat Shay, decided to run. He then started to sprint in my direction with a broken sword in hand, screaming, "Get out of the way!" Toru, seeing this bug threaten her master, did not like it at all. Her mood sank and she was ready to retaliate, about to use her breath. Seeing what was Toru about to do, I exclaimed, "Stop!" Putting my hand on her shoulder, I stopped her. If she fired that breath, the entire area would have been obliterated. "But master," she whined. Patting her head, I said, "I will deal with him." Toru, feeling the sudden pat from Rihito, unexpectedly became docile. She then happily chirped, "Okay." The dirty blonde in mid-sprint saw the person blocking his way and used his left arm to slash at the neck. Just when the blade was about to reach his neck, it stopped. The dirty blonde, who saw the white-haired guy blocking his blade with his fingers, was in disbelief. How could that be? He wondered. Before he could process that, he suddenly felt suffocated. His hand instinctively went towards his neck and found a hand clenching his neck. Just as I lifted him by his neck, Shay appeared beside me with Myu in her arms, still crying. Not wanting to kill in front of MYU, I decide to use less than lightning manipulation greater than to paralyze the guy and unceremoniously release him. Thud. Shay after getting close to Rihito called out to MYU, MYU look Rihito is here. Hearing that she looked up, and found Rihito standing in front of her, Papa, calling out to him with teary eyes, she leapt at his arms. Taking her in my arms I comforted her, it's okay MYU, don't cry, I am here, I slowly calmed her. After MYU calmed down, I spoke, you okay? In response, she nodded. Smiling at her I gestured for Toru to hand the bag she was holding, MYU look, I bought new clothes for you. You should go change into these and then we will go away from this place. MYU looking at the bag with slight curiosity said, really? Yes, you should go with big sister Shay and change into this, okay? MYU nodded. Shay nodded at me and took MYU to a separate room to change into new clothes. Just as MYU was taken inside the room, my gentle smiling face turned to an emotionless one and I looked below near my feet where a sorry excuse for a human was lying. As my emotionless gaze fell onto the human trash, I saw him start to shake. The dirty blonde noticed the guy gazing at him with emotionless eyes feels terrified. He feels no malice from this guy, it is pure indifference like a human looking at an ant crawl, at this moment he feels he is the ant. Still paralyzed, he tried to speak, please it not my fault I was ordered by boss, or give me. Rihito, seeing this sorry excuse of a human babbling feels nothing. He then with pure indifference put his foot on top of the dirty blonde's head and slowly started to increase the force. The dirty blonde feeling the increasing pressure screamed, but to his despair, no one came to his rescue, at this moment he cursed his boss for giving him this job. Rihito, feeling the slow crushing of someone's head beneath his foot felt strange. Getting enough of his screaming, he then put a little bit more power into his foot instantly crushing the skull like a watermelon. Splat. Beside me, Toru who had seen this from the beginning was looking at me with sparkling eyes, Master, you look awesome when you crush these insignificant bugs. She said while giving me a thumbs up. Ignoring her antics I said, Toru get ready, we will clean up this city from some trash. Okay master, she exclaimed. Hajime, after helping Lehman break out of the aquarium was currently drinking coffee in a cafe, with him Yu and Tio were also enjoying the sweets they ordered. Just when Hajime was taking a sip of his coffee, he got contacted by less than telepathy greater than, identifying the mana signature he spoke, Rihito what's up? Hajime, I'm gonna destroy an underground organization, wanna join me? PFF'd. Hajime, suddenly hearing the shocking words spit out the coffee on Tio's face. Cough, cough, cough cough cough. While Hajime coughed, Tio was squirming saying if this is a new humiliating play. Yu seeing this looked at Tio with deadpan. What happened? Hajime asked with a serious look. Yu and Tio, noticing his look of seriousness also became serious and waited for Hajime's to inform them. Rihito then informed Hajime about what happened after they were on their way to the theaters, to the recent attack on MYU. That's the gist of it. So, wanna join in? Sigh, can't you just stay put for one day? Hajime grumbled. Hey, you are talking like you wouldn't make the same decision I made after hearing the whole story. Rihito pointed. Fine, tell me the location. Hajime after cutting off the telepathy looked at Yu and Tio and spoke, get ready, we are going to clean some trash from this city. Chapter end. If you like my story, give me power stones. If you don't have power stones, then please comment and rate my fanfiction. It will motivate me plenty to write more. Thank you. 4 comments 0 vote. Chapter 47, Demolishing Organization. Inside the main base of the Friedhof organization, the boss after hearing the news of the failure to capture the Dagon girl was extremely pissed. Huh? What did you say? The boss angrily asked. Mage, hearing the angry tone of his boss repeats, I said, the men we sent to secure the Dagon girl had been killed. Slam. Slamming his fist on the desk, the boss roared in anger, are you fucking kidding me? What kind of imbecile did you send after a mere blue rank adventurer? Are all the men under you imbeciles? Boss, gritting his teeth spoke to himself, at this rate, our reputation will be crushed. The boss then looked at the mage with a dark look and said, tell this to everyone, whoever brings them alive I will reward them with. Boss. Before he could say more another subordinate of his hurriedly entered, we are in huge trouble, the north, east and south bases are being attacked. They are asking for backup. What should we do? Upon hearing the news, his eyes became bloodshot, and he exclaimed, what? With veins on his head, he asked, who is it? Is it those shark fin guys? I made this shark fin group up. A rival organization. Subordinate A, I don't know. Through communication crystal they only said they had been an attack. Before they could say more it went silent. So, we are unaware as to what happening there. Damn it. Could this day even get worse, the boss angrily said. Taking a deep breath, boss started to give the order, you, call everyone. Boom. Just when he said that an explosion shook the whole base and another subordinate entered in panic, B boss, we are under attack. Rihito, after meeting up with Hajime's group, shared the 3 locations obtained from one of the assailants. The group planned to simultaneously attack the 3 locations to gather more information about other strongholds and their boss. They decided that you and Tio would go to the east base, Hajime would go to the south alone, and Toru and I would head to the north. As for Shay, she would stay behind to take care of MYU. On the northern side of the city, Toru and I are currently standing in front of an inconspicuous building, which was in reality a hidden base of Friedhof. From outside, if someone observes this place, they will only see a run-down building, but with my skill less than mana sense greater than, I can see exactly what this place truly is. Inside, there is a hidden door that goes to an underground base where a few people from the organization guard a room full of chained-up children. Most of them were demi-humans, with 1 or 2 human ones as well. Rihito, seeing all this, felt disgust for all these people. As a modern man, he doesn't understand how these people can continue kidnapping kids from their families and sell them as slaves. Stopping his thoughts there, he spoke, let's go. Boom. Toru, hearing the go-ahead, used her fists and directly blew away the doors with 1 punch, announcing our presence. Rihito, seeing Toru's sudden move, was speechless. When he said, let's go, he didn't mean let's go and announce it to everyone. Rihito shook his head and focused on rescuing the kids trapped here. On the southern base, Hajime, after entering the hidden base of the Friedhof organization, he started to take out everyone on his way to the basement, where he sensed many presences. DOPANN. DOPANN. Stop him, Og. Every person who tried to stop him got one shot by Hajime's bullets, as he walked towards the basement. Some try to use their fallen companions as shields and charge forward, hoping to get close enough to fight him in melee. But to their despair, bullets continued to pierce through the dead body and hit them as well. DOPANN. DOPANN. With each of his bullets, Hajime mercilessly takes out anyone who gets in his way. To him, they are no different than the mindless monster he killed. On the east side of the city, Yu and Tio found an illegal slave auction ongoing, where not only demi-humans but humans as well were getting sold to the highest bidder, mostly nobles. 10,000 ruda, is there anyone willing to increase the bidding? 10,000 once. 10,000 twice. Sold. Yu and Tio, seeing all this, were very disgusted. So, they decided to crash the whole event. Lightning field. Yu unleashed a wide-range lightning attack on all the guests present in the auction hall, which, fortunate for them, the attack only paralyzed them. Og. Hell, P. The auctioneer, seeing the sudden disturbance, called out to all the guards to capture the 2 girls who dared to disrupt the underground auction. The guards, following the order, surrounded and tried to capture them. However, Tio easily thwarted the guards' attempt. Showing no mercy, she used her purple flames to burn them, although she made sure not to harm the guests, leaving the final decision to Rihito and Hajime. After saving the kids and torturing some scumbags, I finally found the location of the main base of the Friedhof organization. It was in the red light district, a 7-floor tall building. What a cliché. Anyway, I then ordered Toru to take these slave kids to the guild and inform them about the ongoing event. Saying that, I jumped up in the sky and used floating magic to look at the red light district, searching for my target. Near the center, I found the 7-story building, and from there many people were hurriedly moving around. There most of them had the getup of an adventurer. Seeing all this, I muttered, found you. Rihito then used less than airwalk greater than to leap downwards, rocketing himself towards the entrance of the Friedhof organization. Boom. Rihito's landing caused a powerful shockwave, shattering windows and knocking down personnel in the area due to a weakened, flashing strike. After seeing the damage his landing caused, Rihito ignored the fainted people and headed inside the base. While he walked inside, he continuously used less than mana sense greater than to scan the whole building. If I hadn't used my mana sense to scan the area, I would have gone to the top floor in search of the boss. However, the building also has 2 underground floors, and many people have gathered on the lowest floor. Oh, now those guys are heading this way, I observed. Step 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 step. Hurry, we need to capture the intruder or the boss will kill us. Someone said. No shit, genius, that's obvious, everyone could see that. The guy near him said, rolling his eyes. Stop bickering and focus on the fight. The third, getting tired of their bickering, scolded. In front of me, both from the upper floors and underground floors, many members of the organization came out from the doors. There were about 50 or so people. Hey, why is there only one guy, and what with that weird mask? Someone asked, not expecting there only a single individual. Maybe this guy is an idiot, who thought he could handle us. Hearing his words, most agreed with him. Let's show him we, Friedhof, are not to be underestimated. Yeah. Exclaiming, everyone charged in Rihito's direction. Just when they were about to capture the guy. Suddenly, for some inexplicable reason, everyone fell down, not understanding what happened. They tried to get up, but right then they noticed below their knees there was nothing. Someone somehow managed to cut off their legs so cleanly that they didn't feel a thing. Everyone upon noticing this fell into dead silence. It takes about a minute or so to process this, as someone realized that his legs were really gone and screamed horrified. My legs, it gone, my legs. As soon as one person screamed, they finally realized it was not a dream. Their legs were really gone. Processing this, everyone bellowed out in panic and despair. My legs. Someone help me. I am dying. At this moment everyone was screaming in panic and despair. Not understanding how this happened. Just a moment ago their legs were fine, but now, below the knee, their legs were cut so cleanly that their blood wasn't even flowing out. Rihito, after atomizing their legs, walked nonchalantly without being obstructed by anyone. Well, anyone who could do that was busy finding their legs. You might be thinking, why didn't he kill them? That is because Rihito thought killing them was not enough. They needed to feel the same despair their captives felt when they were kidnapped from their family and friends. As for their boss, I will make a living Daruma doll out of him. Ignoring their loud screams of despair, I took the door to the underground floor. On the way to the boss's room, some hindrances tried to stop me. Seeing them attacking me, I suddenly thought those guys above had lost their legs. Then how about I cut off these guys' hands? I smiled. After thinking about this idea, I immediately started to implement this idea. On my way to the boss's office, 15 individuals tried to stop me, and all 15 of them lost their arms. As soon as they noticed their arms had vanished, their reaction was the same as the others. I ignored them as well and walked away, finally in front of the boss's office. From inside, I heard grumbling of someone, most likely the boss. Just when I was about to open the door, I paused and got an idea. With an evil smile I took a step back and with a kick, I sent the door flying, while I said, knock knock. Sitting on his chair, the boss of Friedhof was waiting for his men to capture the intruders. I am going to make them beg for death, and as for the women, I will fucking rape them in front of that bastard and then throw them to my men. All the while torturing that bastard. Just as he said that to himself, the door of his office suddenly broke off its hinges and flew at him. Boom. The door crashed on top of the boss, almost knocking him out. The boss, seeing this sudden attack, was completely dumbfounded, not understanding what had just happened. He sent 50 men to capture the intruders. What happened to them? Chapter end. If you like my story, give me power stones. If you don't have power stones, then please comment and rate my fanfiction. It will motivate me plenty to write more. Thank you. 9 comments, 0 vote. Chapter 48. End of the organization. Rihito entered the office with nonchalant steps as the boss of Friedhof was agape looking at him. You must be the boss here, right? Rihito said, smiling inside his mask. The boss, perturbed seeing the weird masked guy, responded, why you must be the one that is causing me trouble. The boss, remembering the trouble he was having, turned angry and started to threaten, you bastard, how dare you get in the way of the Friedhof organization? Do you understand who we are? We are one of the largest underground organizations. If you surrender now, I might let you and your people live, or do you think you can get out of here scot-free after causing so much trouble for us? The boss said, while inwardly thinking, if I capture this guy and make him my slave, with this guy's strength I will be easily able to dominate the whole underground. He smiled darkly. Rihito, hearing the sudden threat, dumbfoundingly thought, is this guy stupid or something? Does he not understand what's happening? The boss, seeing me pause, pulled out a bastard sword and continued, if you dare to kill me, my men all over the city will hunt you and your people down. No one will be safe, not even that brat you saved. As soon as he said those words, the boss got chills down his spine. The next moment he heard a clattering sound of metal and suddenly felt intense agonizing pain from his left side. Ah! Screaming, he instinctually grabbed the place it hurt and noticed his left hand was missing and a large amount of blood pouring out. The boss, agonizing in pain, confusingly asked, why did you attack me? Don't you care about your companions? He thought his threat should work. He had done this multiple times. He knows that no matter how strong a person is, if you attack their weak points like family, friends or lover, they are no different than any common rabble that walks the street. Just as he said that, the boss felt another burst of pain from his right and fell down. Ah! My arms! What have you done? The boss screamed in agony. The boss then heard a cold, chilling voice, you talk too much. As for my companions, you don't need to worry about them, they can handle themselves fine. If I were you, I should have worried about myself now. The boss, sensing his life was in danger, begged, please don't kill me. Rihito, hearing that, smiled inside his mask, don't worry, I won't kill you. Saying that, he paused his words. Hearing that, the boss felt relief for a second, but Rihito's next words poured cold water on him. After I am done with you, you will wish you were dead. Hearing those words, boss understood that this guy was playing with him like a devil. At this moment, Rihito was the devil for him. He is a devil. Rihito then stepped towards the boss and pulled a sword from less than item box greater than, whose blade looked like an arborist. IMG. The boss saw Rihito start to walk towards him with the spinning blade, and his pale face became even paler. Stay away, don't come near me, the boss screamed and tried to crawl back with his legs. As Rihito stepped closer, the boss frantically screamed for help, help me. But to his despair, no one heard him. No. Don't come here, stay away. Ah. Rihito, after making a living Daruma doll out of that guy, I left. As I stepped outside the base, Hajime used less than telepathy greater than to contact me. Rihito, did you take care of the boss? Hajime asked. Yeah, I also found a few hidden locations, documents of their slave trades and information about nobles who bought slaves. After we are done here, I will hand this to Ilwa. Alright, then get out of there. You is preparing a large-scale magic attack that will destroy all the locations of the organization we found until now. Hearing that, I remember in the anime she also did that. Hajime, tell you to leave the main base out of the attack. I want to see the boss of Friedhof suffer more, and the way left him now, it will be crueler to let him live. I see. Just as the telepathy was cut, stormy clouds started appearing in the evening sky. Seeing those crackling clouds, I recognize what spell you is using. Draconic Thunder. Similar to anime, I watched as multiple lightning-shaped dragons rained down all over the city, causing explosions. Boom, 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 boom. Rihito saw the magic attack end and used his less than mana sense greater than to scan the whole city and found the majority of Friedhof bases were destroyed by that attack. Still, there are few small surviving bases. I will let Ilwa deal with those. Rihito then used teleportation magic to return to his hotel room where Shay protected Myu. As I returned back, I saw Myu curiously looking down through the glass window. Shay heard the slight noise and looked in my direction and called out, Rihito, you are back. Hearing Shay's words, Myu snapped her head towards me and leapt at my arms. Papa, you are back. She hugged me smiling. Rihito, seeing Myu happy, smiled back. I then took her in my arms and sat on the sofa waiting for Hajime and others to come back. Sitting on my lap, Myu ate the sweets on the table while Shay sat on my right hugging my arms. We stayed like that for about half an hour, the whole time no sound except Myu munching sounds could be heard. Knock knock. Hearing the knocking sound, I said, come in. I was expecting Hajime, but to my surprise it was Todd. Entering, Todd without wasting time directly said what he came for. Hello Rihito and Shay, I am sorry to disturb you at this time, but the guild master has asked for your presence. No problem, I had expected this. Before we go, can you wait until Hajime and others come back? I asked Todd. Todd, adjusting his glasses, responds, about them, they should also be informed right about now, and Miss Toru is currently present in the guild waiting for you. Todd said the last part with a sweat. I see, number wonder Toru didn't come back yet, and the way Todd looked. I can guess she wasn't happy when she was told to stay there. Taking Myu in my arms, I said, let's go then. As I entered the VIP room again, I saw Toru in a bad mood standing at the side. While Ilwa, Hajime and others maintain a slight distance, not wanting to provoke her. Toru, upon noticing me, exclaimed in a happy mood, Master. Her bad mood instantly vanished. I walked up to Toru and patted her head, good job. saying that I sat on the sofa, Myu sitting on my lap and Shay sitting beside me. As for Toru, she stood behind me and was kinda acting weird. For some reason, she was taking deep breaths, then controlled herself and returned to normal. Ilwa, seeing the blonde dragon girl calm down mentally sighed in relief. He had previously seen her status and Ilwa knew if this girl started to rampage there would be no adventurer out there who would be able to stop her, except, Ilwa then looked at the Rihito who was feeding the little Dagon girl. Ilwa shook his head as Todd entered the office with many documents about the incident that recently occurred. He looked at the document once over and sighed out loud. Clenching the documents hard he read, 9 buildings vanished, 47 buildings collapsed or heavily damaged, 32 deaths, 44 unconscious, 93 heavily injured and 71 missing. Ilwa sighed as he imagined the loads of paperwork he had to do after this. Well, at least no harm came to the common people. Ah, Ilwa, Rihito called out remembering about the document he found. Then Rihito from inside his coat pulled out the documents and handed them to Ilwa. Ilwa took the document and took a once-over and found many nobles' names and information about their slave transactions. He saw the information and his eyes widened. Did you pick this up from their base? He asked. Yeah, after I punished him. I found these inside his office. I see, although you guys had created a troublesome situation for us. I won't deny it also helped us as well. The Friedhof might be an underground organization, but I surface they pose as a legitimate company, and many powerful nobles support them. We have been trying to catch them for a while, but every time we catch their trail, they erase all the evidence and some nobles interfere, which makes it impossible to do anything after that. But now, with these documents in hand, my job will be very easy, Ilwa said with a malicious smile. As Rihito and Hajime talked with Ilwa. Myu interacted with you and Tio. You are so cute, you took Myu from Rihito's lap and hugged her. Indeed, she is very cute, Tio agreed. Yeah, Myu is the cutest, Shay also chided. Getting so many compliments Myu felt shy, and responded with a low voice, big sisters are pretty too. All the girls seeing Myu shyly say those words felt like a sweet punch in their gut. Kya, Myu is so cute, all the girls exclaimed. Seeing Mayu's cuteness even Toru who was watching from the side was also affected. Myu reminded her of someone. That takes care of the organizational matter. Ilwa then looked at the little girl who was smiling with the other girls. He then looked back at Rihito and asked, so, what do you plan to do with the girl? Hearing Ilwa's words everyone looked at me. It is simple, I will deliver her to her home. Hajime, hearing my firm tone of voice, sighed in acceptance and muttered, I knew it. Ilwa smiled upon hearing that, then I am issuing a quest to deliver Myu to her home, Elizan, and designate you to escort her there. To which I nodded. Myu seeing this happily exclaimed, Papa, and hugged Rihito. While Myu did that Hajime, you and Tio looked at me with strange eyes. Noticing their gaze, I understood what they were thinking. I said, don't look at me like that. I didn't ask her to call me like that, she has been calling me that ever since I met her, then the attack happened so I never got the chance to ask her why she is calling me like that. Then everyone's gaze shifted towards Myu. You curious, decided to ask, Myu, why did you call Rihito Papa? Myu tilting her head in confusion answered, it's because Papa is Papa. Hearing her confusing answer everyone fell silent contemplating what she meant. Shay, right then getting a sudden idea spoke, hey Myu why don't you call me Mama then? Shay asked with sparkling eyes. But to her distress Myu instantly rejected her. No, I already have a mama. I only need one Papa and one Mama. Shay hears Mayu's rejection, her ears plop down in dejection. Tio seeing dejected Shay went near her and whispered, no need to be so dejected, Rihito is your man right, so sooner or later you will bear his child. Then you will also be a mama. Processing those words Shay perked up and looked at Rihito with passion, while Rihito who also heard glared at Tio. Hajime seeing Tio causing trouble tied her up and left her on the floor all the way Tio squirmed in ecstasy. Shaking my head I said, Myu can call me whatever she likes. If she sees me as a father figure that's fine by me. Chapter end. Author note. Hello guys. It has been a while since I wrote a note. I wanted to inform you that I will soon open a Patreon and stock up on chapters there. So after chapter 50, I will hold off until my Patreon is up and running. If you want to join please wait until chapter 50. If you like my story, give me power stones. If you don't have power stones, then please comment and rate my fanfiction. It will motivate me plenty to write more. Thank you. 8 comments 0 vote. Chapter 49, Toru's Thoughts. Unknown location. In a fierce and unrelenting battle, two formidable human armies clashed across a sprawling and desolate plain. Each side fought with unwavering determination, driven by their deeply held beliefs, ideologies, and personal motivations. The conflict raged on for countless days, with neither faction yielding an inch in their pursuit of victory. Suddenly in the middle of the battle from the sky, a giant green dragon with horns entered the fray and started to slaughter both armies. The commanders of the armies, seeing this difficult situation, without speaking mutually came to a decision and decided to face the dragon together. They fought thinking that if they came together, they might be able to defeat the dragon. But to their horror, the dragon easily slaughtered the armies. The dragon with its claws crushed many lives, with its tail it sent many combatants to their deaths, and with its breaths decimated the battlefield, almost killing everyone. Just then, an old man wearing priest robes clasped his hands and prayed to the sky, hoping that their god would save them. In response to his prayers, the sky started to darken. Beside the priest, a white light shone brightly, and a giant man with long white hair and a beard, wearing white clothes, appeared and looked around the vicinity. The priest in a praying gesture prayed, "O Lord, please guide us in this hour of peril." The god, seeing the dragon slaughtering the humans that worshipped him, became angry and roared, "Foolish dragon, how dare you!" The booming voice reverberated through the battlefield. The dragon, hearing the thunderous voice of the god, looked at the god's direction and roared back with equal ferocity. "Gura Raa. The god, seeing the dragon not stopping, used his divine energy to empower the remaining army. The soldiers, after being blessed by their god, became even more fierce and attacked in a frenzy and started to push back the dragon. The dragon, seeing this, used its breath attack to slaughter the remaining army faster. So, the dragon could deal with the god. The god, seeing his believer die by dragon, became even angrier. In anger, he used its divine energy to create a giant sword that glowed white. The dragon recognized the danger of the sword and used its wings to fly up, creating distance and trying to avoid getting hit. The god, anticipating this, used its divine energy to throw the sword at the flying dragon. Die. The dragon, unable to fly away in time, got hit by the sword, which easily penetrated the dragon's scale. The dragon feels immense pain from the stabbing and roars out, which shook the battlefield. Toru, sleeping in her room, suddenly woke up, gasping for breath. Ha, 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 she sighed, controlling her breath as she sat up and thought about the dream she just had. That dream again, she mutters to herself. Now that she thinks about it, what she tried to do was extremely reckless and stupid. It could be said it was a miracle that she even survived that god's attack. Toru then unconsciously rubbed the place behind near the waist. If someone observed that place, a faint mark of a stab could be seen. But at that time, she couldn't help it. Watching those humans fighting over and over again. She wanted to do something, she wanted the war to stop. She didn't understand why they couldn't live in peace. So, she did the only thing she knew, fight. Fight, whatever caused the war, no matter what it was. Toru, feeling uneasy about the dream, got up from her bed and looked out of the window. She realized it was midnight as she gazed at the sky. She changed out of her pajamas and into her maid clothes, which she wore in her human form. Then, hesitating for a moment, she decided to go into her master's room, where Rihito was sleeping, hoping to find comfort beside him. Leaving her room, Toru looked at the next door beside her and stepped towards it, slowly opening the door so as not to wake up Rihito. Toru, after confirming he didn't wake up, stood beside his bed staring at him, thinking about the 3 days she had spent with her new master, Rihito. He was a strange human, with an absurd amount of mana. It surpassed even her father's, who had the highest amount of mana among dragons. The difference is just astronomical. Although he had immense mana, that's not what made him strange. What's strange is his personality. Toru to this day didn't understand why he didn't kill her. Wasn't it normal to kill the enemy in a battle? She has seen many humans do that. Even if they surrender, they still get killed. Then why did Rihito spare her? Unable to think of an answer, Toru decided to stop pondering it. She planned to ask Rihito directly later. Then she glanced at the open space on the bed beside him, choosing to lie down and pull over the blanket on herself. Beside him she felt a strange sense of comfort. Rihito, sensing someone's gaze on himself, woke up but didn't open his eyes, acting as if he was still asleep. He used his less than mana sense greater than discreetly and found it was Toru. She was standing near his bed staring at him without changing her expression. By the way, today Rihito slept alone. She didn't try to sneak in today because of MYU. It's not like she needs to do that now, anyway. Rihito, feeling curious, acted as if he was still asleep and observed Toru. After half an hour, Toru finally moved closer, laid down on my right side, and kept staring at me. Rihito, seeing this familiar situation, thought, is she also acting like Shay? He then opened his eyes and looked at Toru, asking, Toru, what are you doing? Did something happen? He asked, not understanding what she was trying to do. Toru, hearing the question, paused for a second and decided to talk about the dream she had. I had a dream. I was fighting in another world, fighting an army. Then suddenly a sword ran through my body. Then I woke up. Toru explained the minimum she could. Rihito, hearing her story, was stunned and silent. He then used less than superhuman speed greater than to process the story he heard. Did she just say another world? She can go to other worlds. What kind of bullshit skill does she possess that allows her to do that? I need to ask her about that. But first, I need to cheer her up. I can always ask her later. As Rihito stopped using less than superhuman speed greater than, he couldn't help but notice the emotions flickering across her face, her sadness, and a hint of remorse. I didn't know how to appease her, so I started with small talk. Did it hurt? I asked her. It did. Is it still hurting? I asked again. Toru turned her head left to right in denial. No. Do you want to talk about it? I asked her. I don't want to, she denied. I reached out my left hand to hold hers as I noticed her glum mood. Toru, I don't know what you have been through before I met you. Even if you tell me, I probably won't understand most of it, and that's understandable because I am not a dragon. In the near future there will be many things I will do that might seem trivial to you, and there will be many things you will do that might seem absurd to me. And that's okay. You are now my companion, so if anything troubles you, you can talk to me. If it is something you can't tell me, then talk to Shay, you, Hajime, and even Tio. He said the last name with a slight reluctance. Shaking his head, he continued, what I am trying to say is we are here with you. If you are in trouble, just ask. Saying that, Rihito went silent and looked at the other side. Upon hearing those words, Toru felt happy. She tightened her grip on his hand. Then a sudden thought came across her mind. If it was you instead of me, could you have stopped them? Thinking that, she closed her eyes to sleep beside him with a soft smile. While Toru slept peacefully beside Rihito, Rihito was cringing inside his mind. How the hell did I say those cheesy lines without gagging? Those words came out on reflex. It was like my body went on autopilot. I sighed. Well, at least those words calmed her, and from the looks of things she went to sleep. Guess I will ask her about her skills later. Next day. Rihito woke up hearing a little girl's voice. Papa, wake up, big sister Toru has made breakfast, let's go. I am up, saying that I took Myu in my arms and kissed her on her cheek and she giggled. What did she cook? I asked with a groggy mind. Myu tilted her and said, I saw there was some meat. Big sister Toru said it was a special meat for you, Papa, can I eat it with you? Hearing about the special meat, I snapped out of my groggy mind and looked at Myu. You must never eat that, you understand me? Hearing my words, Myu whined, But why? No buts, you will not eat that. You understand me? Myu saw the serious look on Rihito's face and nodded reluctantly, okay. Seeing Myu sad, I spoke again, no need to be so sad. Next time, I will cook a special dish for you. Myu perked up hearing those words and exclaimed, really? You can cook, Papa? Yeah, now you should go to big sister Shay. I gonna go and freshen up. Myu nodded at me and happily ran. Shit. Toru cooked that again, I still remember that ominous meat. The last time I had used less than item box greater than inside my mouth to seem like I was eating the thing, and it also helped that Toru insisted on standing beside me while I ate, which helped to trick her. Sigh, guess I will have to do it again. Chapter end. Author note. Hello guys, as I said before, I am creating a Patreon, and because of that, new chapter updates will slow down even more until the Patreon is 10 in advance. So until that happens, I will upload a chapter a week. My Patreon is almost ready, just need to upload all the chapters. Now about the chapter. At first, I was making this chapter about Toru's skills, but I scraped it and made it more about Toru. Rihito now knows Toru has the skill to travel to other worlds, which he must get his hands on. If you like my story, give me power stones. If you don't have power stones, then please comment and rate my fanfiction. It will motivate me plenty to write more. Thank you. 5 comments, 0 vote. Chapter 50, Demons and Heroes. After I survived the breakfast, we headed towards Horod, the town where we would finally be officially promoted to gold rank. You might be wondering why we must go to Horod to be promoted to gold rank. I also thought the same and asked Ilwa the same question. He responded, when it comes to promoting someone to black, silver and gold, not everyone can be promoted. For someone to get promoted to black rank, the adventurer needs to have a good track record and acknowledgement of a guild master. From there, if you want to get promoted to silver, you will need to have black rank and acknowledgement from 2 guild masters, and for gold rank, the number of guild masters will increase to 3. It might seem easy on paper, but getting to the gold rank is extremely hard. Each guild master will test the adventurer's character, loyalty, background and many more. If everything is alright, then only can someone get promoted. To this day only a handful of adventurers have reached gold rank. I made this up to make sense of why they are going to Horod. What do you guys think? Ilwa paused for a moment and continued, as for you guys, you have completed a special request from me and in the process defeated a monster army, saved the city, ULL, and recently destroyed an underground organization, which will be more than enough for the track record. Next is your character. Lucky for you guys, you have the recommendation of Master Catharin, which will be enough for that. And for acknowledgements, you already have a recommendation of mine and Master Catharin. For the remaining one, you need to go to the Horod. The Guild Master of Horod Loa Bawavis is one of my good friends and one of my colleagues who worked under Master Catharin. He will give you his acknowledgement, thus making you all officially gold rank adventurers. With that knowledge we left for Horod. Inside Brise, Hajime drove while I sat in the passenger seat with Myu on my lap. Shay, Toru, Yu, and Tio sat behind us. Myu, seeing Brise moving so fast pointing outside, says, "Wow. This car thing is so nice. We going so fast. It felt like we were sailing on the water. Papa and Big Brother are really amazing to make this." Myu admiringly looked at us. Upon hearing Mayu's praise, Hajime and I smiled at the little girl. Even though Hajime may not show it outwardly, he has grown quite fond of Myu. Earlier, as we were about to get into our car, some fool tried to harass the girls. Myu noticed this, stepped forward, and scolded the man, which made him angry. Seeing the situation going south, I was about to intervene. Before I could, I heard the gunshots and saw Hajime pointing his gun and taking the guy out with rubber bullets. Upon noticing the gun in his hands, Myu, for some reason, liked it very much. She asked me to give her one, but I immediately shut down her request. After she pouted for a moment, she became too enthralled by the moving breeze outside to continue pouting. She then continued looking around the car, asking questions about things that caught her attention. Hajime and I both answered her curiosity. And just like that, we reached Horod. Inside the Orcus labyrinth, Shizu delivered a fatal blow to the ant monster's head and quickly stepped back, using less than ground shrinker greater than to dodge an attack from a bat. She then jumped and utilized less than no tempo greater than to slash the bat in half, ending its life. Shizuku cleared all the monsters from her side, looks around at the others to see if they needed assistance. After making sure the other frontline fighters were faring well, she looked at Kaori, who was preparing a light spell with the mages. Suzu, the barrier mage, seeing that the spell was almost ready, screamed, "Everyone take cover, you have 10 seconds. Shizuku and others, hearing the warning, systematically backed off from the front line, and subsequently after 10 seconds a big light spell was released, from which multiple light beams spread into the direction of the remaining monster, clearing about 90% of the beast. The remaining ones were on the verge of dying because of the attack. Alright. This is good. Let's finish the leftovers once quickly. Kuki shouted and charged forward with the vanguards. In just a few minutes they take out all the remaining monsters. Finishing their fight, they once again checked if any surviving monsters were left. Finding none, everyone finally relaxed and cheered for their victory on the 89th floor. Shizuku sees everyone relaxing, and chides in frustration, "Hey, don't let your guard down completely. We are still in a labyrinth, who knows what kind of traps and monsters are up ahead." Shizuku, previously trained by Rihito, has learned valuable lessons from him, such as remaining vigilant in unfamiliar surroundings, observing the environment, and relying on instincts. Shizuku, relying on these teachings, has been able to escape from many troubles throughout the labyrinth. She firmly follows his teachings like a creed. She also urges others to do the same, but to her annoyance, except for Kaori, no one listens to her. "Shizuku, you are worrying too much. Didn't you see we just defeated those monsters so easily on this 89th floor? No matter what may come, I will defeat them and protect everyone. Even if I have to face the demon race all alone," Kuki, flashing a smile, says with a righteous tone. "You idiot, there is no way I will let you fight alone. If you are fighting, I am going with you, saying that Ryutaro walks closer to Kuki and gives him a fist bump, which he happily reciprocates. Shizuku seeing all this shook her head in slight disappointment. She then looked at Kaori who was healing the injured members. Kaori checked if anyone remained after healing all the injured, finding no one. She then looked with uncertainty towards the passage to the next floor. Are you okay? Shizuku asks, noticing her friend's distressed look. Shizuku understands how she feels about not finding any clues about those two, but she can't show that to Kaori. She has to act strong in front of Kaori. Ah, Shizu, I am alright. But it's just that, we beat the 89th floor but we still haven't found any sign of their survival yet. I am really worried. She clenched her artifacts tightly. Kaori, don't worry, I believe they are still alive somewhere in this labyrinth. I still haven't given up, so you also cannot. Shizuku grabbed Kaori's right hand and clenched it tightly. We promised, even if the possibility is zero, if we'll see it to the end. Don't you forget that. Kaori saw the strong gaze of Shizuku and responded, yes, you are right. I can't give up. I will find Hajime even if I have to go through the labyrinth again, clenching her fist in determination, Kaori said. Just then, Suzu saw Kaori making a determined face and leapt at her, grabbing her and saying, Kaori, you look so awesome when you look like that. With that, she started to hug Kaori, which disrupted the serious mood between Kaori and Shizuku. Other girls who saw Suzu suddenly jump on Kaori also joined in and started chatting. After they had rested enough, Kuki stood up and gave orders to prepare. As an appointed leader of the heroes' party, it was his job to ensure everyone was ready to tackle the floors. Melt has trusted him with this job and Kuki has taken this job with the utmost seriousness. Gathering everyone, they then headed to the next floor. How foolish, Katalia can't help but mutter seeing how the so-called heroes were acting after defeating the monster on the 89th floor. It was clear to her they hadn't taken their situation seriously. As one of the captains of the demon army, she was irritated seeing these heroes act like children. Instead of being vigilant, they were acting as if they were on a picnic. Well, it is actually good for her. If they continue like this, they will easily fall into my trap. Katalia had camouflagingly observed them taking out the bat and ant monsters of the 89th floor. After their fight ended, she had an idea of how to deal with them. After her observation, she knows that the key members of this party are Kuki, Kaori, Shizuku and Ryutaro. If she manages to make their fealty to the demon army, it would be easier to make the other heroes join the demon army. While pondering, she noticed the Shizuku girl was looking in her direction. For a moment she was startled. Did she notice me? Katalia thought. But seeing her gaze darting around, she calmed down. No, she hasn't noticed me. She is looking for something. Sighing to herself, she moved to a different location and continued watching the girl. Katalia observed the girl called Shizuku. Her skills with the blade were impressive. At first, she even mistakenly thought this girl was the one who had the hero class. But to her disappointment, she didn't. Instead, it was the most naive-looking kid. Observing that kid named Kuki, Katalia understood the hero was the type who thought no one could be evil. Katalia didn't understand why this kid thought like that. It was truly bizarre for her. For her who has grown up seeing the war that has continued for thousands of years, she was confused. Truly foolish, of all the people present here it has to be him, what a waste. Katalia shook her head in disappointment. She then watched them enter the 90th floor, which she cleared beforehand, and where her monster army was camouflaged waiting for her orders. Chapter end. Author note. Hello guys, as I said before, I am creating a Patreon, and because of that, new chapter updates will slow down even more until the Patreon is 10 in advance. So until that happens, I will upload a chapter a week. My Patreon is almost ready, just need to upload all the chapters. If you like my story, give me power stones. If you don't have power stones, then please comment and rate my fanfiction. It will motivate me plenty to write more. Thank you. Next chapter.